All right, did the walk around of the video already. I said I was getting ready to do the transmission swap. And there it is. There's a Turbo 400 pulled out. It was one of those Harbor Freight scissor style transmission jacks. I think they're like 130 bucks. There's my dual transfer case setup. Also out, I left the cross members connected to that. And that's like a transmission jack adapter for a floor jack. I don't know where I got that. I have no idea. I've had it too damn long. But yeah, that's what it is. Let's see here. Get some more lighting. There you go. It's a good transmission. Works great. It's got a shift kit in it. It kicks hard. Shifts down second gear really well. Really stout. I just want an overdrive. So I'll probably sell this or throw it to the side somewhere and for it's another project. But yeah. No high dollar tools in this house, in this shop. Got two Harbor Freight jacks, one over there holding up the motor. Old Craftsman jack that I just ordered my oldest daughter, she's 22. That transmission jack works pretty good. First time using it. All right, well, that's all I got. I'm beat. I work by myself in low buck tools, hand tools, so I have air tools, but sometimes I don't want to hear all that racket. But yeah, once I get this other transmission ready to go, I'll do a little video on that. Let's see. This is always the pain in the butt part. Kind of getting this thing to where it'll go underneath the frame. Let me get this tripod working. There we go. There. Whew. Yep. That's out all right. Now, get this one out of its box. I think that's for next weekend. I'm tired. All right, the last time I filmed anything on the Blazer, it was this transmission. I pulled the old Turbo 400 out. That's right there. And I was getting ready to pull this 4L80E out of that box. So what we have here is a 4L80E. It's a two-wheel drive model. I picked a two-wheel drive model so that way I could get this output sensor and not have to worry about modifying my T-case to put an output sensor. I have a pretty thick adapter already, but I do have to trim the tail shaft off about 2 inches just to get it to fit my transfer case. Not a big deal, people have done this before. There's 2 mods to do to get one of these in a 4-wheel drive. This is number 1. The other one's a freeze plug inside the tail shaft. I'll get to that in a minute. First thing I gotta do is wheel this over to the other side of the Blazer so I have more room to work. The only thing I've done with that was pull the shifter adapter off, and that was it. So that way my shifter will work. It should bolt right up. It's been since July, since the last time I filmed, so it's been a minute, and I apologize. But for you guys, this is going to be one long video anyway, so it's not, you're not going to even notice really. It's going to be seconds to you, months for me. All right, let me get to work, and I'll show you my progress and how I do this. All right, I've been cutting on this, give you an idea what I'm doing. I cut using a cutting wheel. About halfway through the shaft right now, and the whole point of that is to get it to not stick out more than 1/16 of an inch right here. I am wearing gloves. I do have a fire extinguisher and wearing my PPE. So just taking a break, just going to show you. I'm using a phone, that's why I'm not filming this while I cut. Use a friction cutting off wheel. Just take your time. Let it work for you. Don't force it. When I get done, take this new flap disc and I'll bevel the edge just like the factory edge is right here. So it'll slip on just fine. I'll have to modify this adapter, this lip. Got to smooth this out somehow because it's yeah, it's not letting it mate all the way up, so might have to just bevel this edge, make it fit better. Anyways, thought I'd stop, show you what I'm doing. Well, there it is. There's a piece cut off. Oop, a little bit of the bevel. Now I need to get in there with a jeweler's file and clean up the splines. Deburr it. Got a little off camber, a little bit of crookedness to it, but for a free-handed cut, it's not too bad. Here's my jeweler's file. Just kind of go through, make sure there's no burrs. I'm going to do this about 60 times because there's 32 splines. If you can dig the splines at all, clean those up a little bit. Now, the next thing that has to happen, nope, there's a freeze plug in here, right in there where this O-ring is. That freeze plug's got a small hole in it. It lets fluid come out to lubricate the two-wheel drive bushing on the tail shaft or on the housing for the slip yoke. In the four-wheel drive application, you don't need this, so this needs to change. Like I was saying, you need to replace the freeze plug with this freeze plug here. This is a solid freeze plug, so no oil will come out. You don't need it in a four-wheel drive. Let me see if I can eliminate the hole. You can kind of see it. I don't know if it comes across on camera. Kind of hard to make it out on camera. But yeah, got to get that freeze plug out of there. I'm going to use a slide hammer. So we'll see how this goes. All right, I got it out. This is what I use. This is a dent puller, old school dent puller with a screw on it. Drill a hole, just enlarge the hole a little bit. You can pull this in and it's a slide hammer. Gets that out real easy. Put a little RTV around that freeze plug before you put it in. When you're done, should look like that. Little RTV in it. Keep that transmission fluid in there. And that's all you got to do to modify this to be a four-wheel drive. Actually, I still need to put on my torque converter, so I'll do that next. I'll bring the transmission over here so I could do it. All right, now before we go and put this transmission underneath the truck, we have to put the torque converter in. So I'm gonna start doing this. Important thing to remember when you're putting in a torque converter, don't put it in dry, right? Put about a quart of ATF in it, some Dextron. This is a GM, so Dextron. That's a little more than a quart. Also, you want to make sure that take some of this oil or some of this fluid, put it on your finger, and get the seal inside. Put some around here. You don't want to put this dry on the pump seal either. Clean up my mess. That should be enough. Just let it settle. this torque converter is just a stock torque converter, stock stall. It's nothing fancy. You don't want a high stall on a four-wheel drive. It eats up your transmission. Go ahead and angle you this way. GM torque converters, they have the 3-click rule. You put these in. There's a few different splines that you're dealing with, right? You have a couple stator splines inside the torque converter. You got pump spline. Oop. Let's see, make sure you guys can still see. So you have to do this with 3 clicks. Now these things are not light. Be prepared to struggle a little bit. That's 1, 2, 3. There you go, 3. You don't want this sticking out past the bell housing. You want it recessed in. That will allow it not to damage the pump. Feel like you can go further. Sometimes it being on transmission jack's not helpful. Yep. Just make sure I don't feel it going anymore. So that must be it. All the way in. You always take a straight edge piece of cardboard just to verify that snout is not past. You can see going across, it's been further than that. So that's the goal. That's torque converter installs. Now you need to put it in the truck. All right, putting this transmission in. This is a neighbor's doggy. Oh, I got two of them in here. Oh, 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 so friendly. Thank you for kisses. Sorry, I had to stop that for a minute. But what you're trying to do is there's a dowel pin or an alignment pin right here. So what you're trying to do is get your transmission bell housing on that. Sometimes you'll have to go up and down with the jack. Like right now, it's not sitting, the jack's not sitting level. So because of that, my dowel pin is not quite lined up. It looks like I'm sitting hard to see. I'm sitting too high, but that's okay. I have another bolt holding the other side up. So what I could do is just slowly lower it a little bit. In theory, use this one bolt. I could see that bolt hole a lot easier than I could see the dowel pin. And right now I'm too high. There. Dowel pin's still a little high. But you can get a bolt in one of the holes. You should be able to kind of bring it in a little bit. I always start with these bottom two bolts. They're easier to get to. And right now, the top is in too close. I don't get it too. Okay. Now I'll get one more bolt in on this side. And I'll move over to that side. Get another bolt in. All right, that's 2 bolts on this side. I like to get at least 4 bolts on before I could say I could move on to something else. Bell housing bolts. Make sure you put 6 in. Now I got the transmission in, and for those who are wondering what I got going on here, that's the there we go, that's better. So that's a 4L80E, so 4-speed overdrive version of the Turbo 400. I'm putting it in because I want that overdrive. It's computer controlled. I have a module to control it. I'll get to that later. And then I have an adapter I got from Off-Road Design, along with a spacer from Advanced Adapters. So if you're wanting to run a two-wheel drive 4L80E, which is what this is, you want to run the Magnum 205 underdrive, you have to cut the shaft like I did earlier, and you're going to need this 1-inch spacer from Advanced Adapters to get some room. So for those who don't know, the underdrive is a secondary gearbox for the transfer case. It has an additional low range in it, 2.72 I think. And then this is the MP205 transfer case right there. What essentially this does is it makes this transfer case a 4-speed transfer case. I think I've said this in the past. So it's a 1-to-1, a 2-to-1, which is the low range on the 205, 2.72 to 1, which is this underdrive. And then when you combine low range with this one and low range with this one, you get 5.44 to 1. So gear control, that's what that is. Obviously I'm not completely done. I still have to put the torque converter on and that kind of stuff. But the main thing was, how do you get the two-wheel drive 4L80 to a four-wheel drive? That's kind of what I was trying to get across with this video. I still have some odds and ends to deal with. I have to lengthen those all thread to connect a shifter for the transfer case. I have to run my coolant lines, torque converter bolts, the whole nine. And I still got to rewire the whole truck. So anyways, that's the install of a 4L80 into a 74 Blazer. Most of the way done. Thanks for watching.